this knee on the belly drill we always do in class, where we put our hands on the knees and then we cross step around the hip. It's a nice warm-up drill, but it's also a really functional way to pass the person's guard. So you guys can start option of holding the knees or option of grabbing pocket grips on the outsides of the pants. They both have their advantages. Pocket grips are a lot more secure and versatile later on, but they're slower to get. Hands on the knees, I can make a quick diversion, but there's less versatility later on with these grips, okay? So I'm either gonna get those pocket grips or I'm gonna divert the knees with my hands. That's your option. But if I move to my right, I always move with my left foot first. I wanna make a cross step tight around the hip. The reason I do that is because if I lead with my right foot first, it telegraphs my direction and leaves a giant space here for him to recompose his guard, okay? So it's gonna be not this, but this. 1, tight to the hip. 2, my right foot's gonna take a big 45-degree angle step. 3, I'm dropping my shin across his waistline, and I'm stabilizing myself here. So my knee is across the waistline, my toes aren't touching the mat on this side. I grab a pocket grip on the outside of the pants here. This one would go thumb inside the collar, and then I would bend him up off the mat with a nice tall spine. When I do this against really big guys, I tend not to want to pull up on the collar too much, because if the guy's like 240, 250 and I pull up on this collar really hard, I've actually pulled guys right on top of me inadvertently before. So I'll distribute my pull a lot more to this leg with this pocket grip. I'll pull up on this and drive my shin down into the waist. I'm still pulling up on the head a little bit, but a lot more pull in the rear than in the front, so I can keep him pinned down. So I move into my pass, I step around the hip, he starts to turtle away. This is a reaction that's common for 2 reasons. Number 1, somebody who's not educated in grappling, it's the fastest way for them to get back up to their feet. They turn over, they put their hands on the mat, they stand up. For tournament jiu-jitsu, he's gonna turtle like that to save the points. It is the dumbest rule ever. But if he turns over as I pass and exposes his back and puts himself in this really vulnerable position, somehow or another, I don't score any points. I think that's insane. I think it should be 4 points for this position. So this arm's gonna go around the neck. This one's gonna come under the far side armpit, and I'm gonna grab that choking arm and make a seatbelt grip. Now what we've been doing is we've been threading the needle, we've been putting this foot in this pocket here, we're not doing that today. I'm gonna slam my shin into his shin and create a big space under his body with that torque. So I do this. And now that hook pops clean through. So now my right hook is in already. If I can't get this hook in yet, I'm just gonna keep my seatbelt super tight, put my foot on the mat, hip escape away a little bit, and then put that hook in. So when we get to this position, I'm going to immediately feed that lapel. So the one that's under his armpit punches the lapel out. I'm gonna lean my body far away as I slide my right thumb inside the collar. That makes the grip tight immediately. If I stay here and I feed my thumb, there's this giant gap and a bunch of slack here for him to grab my arm. There's a lot of room for him not to choke. So what I'm gonna do, again, as soon as I land here, I start feeding my thumb, but I stretch myself away, straightening my right arm, and I feed that in nice and deep. Now it's super tight. This hand under the armpit's gonna jump to the opposite lapel, about a fist length away from the original, and I continue straightening both arms out and arching my body. My bottom arm totally straightens out. I look over my bottom shoulder, pin my heels, arch my hip, and I turn and look over that bottom shoulder and draw myself away to finish my choke.